أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. All praises due to Allah. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'd. I know it has been some time since I did a live video for Tajweed. So inshallah we'll start the video series. I'm sure you are following the posts that alhamdulillah is done on the site, but inshallah I will catch up with that. So today inshallah we'll have I'm just gonna get in straight to the points of articulation, because this is very, very important. Today we'll do an introduction session, and hopefully inshallah on Saturday we'll do we'll start the Makhārij, or the points of articulation of each and every letter based on the order presented, inshallah Rabbil Alameen. Makhārij is the plural of the word Makhārij. Makhārij means exit. Kharaja means somebody exits. So Makhārij is the place where you exit. Imagine yourself coming out from your house. That is your Makhārij. When you have the main door or the main gate, this is where people enter and people exit. Imagine somebody coming out from the window. That's not the proper way or the proper place to enter or exit. Makhraj is where the letter comes out, the sound that you hear. Ba, qa, la, ma, those sounds that you heard, it comes out. There are some dynamics working there. The air, the sound, the position of the organs, in this mouth and in the throat and so on. So makhraj is that. Plural is makhārij. Makhārij al-huruf. Huruf is the plural of harf. Harf means letter. So makhraj of the harf is the point of articulation of that letter. It's very, very important to learn the makhārij. Normally, people will start with the rules of Tajweed before they studying the Makhārij and Sifat. Sifat means the characteristics of letters. They normally start with the Ahkam of Nun Sakina, Izhar, Idgham, Ikhfa, all of that. Then they will come later to the Makhārij. This works good with the Arabic-speaking students. So you will find books of Tajweed, they go with that division or that presentation. They will present the Nun Sakina, Mim Sakina, Lam Sakina, Mad, all of that. Then they will teach you Makhārij and Sifat of the letters. That's if you are an Arabic-speaking person. Arabic is your mother tongue. So normally you don't have a problem with the Makhārij. You have a problem with the Sifat. Arab people, for example, would say Kha instead of Kha. Khalid instead of Khalid. Kharaja instead of Kharaja, like that. Ka instead of Qa, and so on. So they have a problem with the Sifat of the letter, but they don't have a problem with the Makhraj. You will not find an Arabic native speaker saying about the Kha as Ka. They will say Kha, but they will not say Kha, Kha, Kha. So they have a problem with the Sifa, characteristic of the letter, how strong, where it comes from the upper part of the mouth, narrowed, and so on. So this is the importance of Makhārij. Now, what we do here is we study the Makhārij first and the Sifat for non-Arabic speaking students. That's very, very important. Why? Because if you learn all the rules of Tajweed and you don't pronounce it right, then you will find somebody saying Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. They follow the melody, they make the mad, they make all that, but then instead of Alhamdu, they say Alhamdu. Lillahi, instead of saying Rabbi, they say Rabbi. Instead of Al-Alameen, they say Al-Alameen. Why? Because they didn't study Makhārij. They will apply the rules of Ghunna and all of that, but they don't know the Makhārij. Now I am sure we know the importance of Makhārij. So Makhārij and Sifat, or points of articulation and characteristics of letters, is one of the, if not the most important lesson in Tajweed. So I advise you to keep reading about it, to see the slides presented on the site, and listen to these audios that I'll be posting inshallah once or twice every week inshallah Rabbil Alameen, until you master it. And never give up. Stand in front of a mirror, go to a sheikh, repeat, record yourself, match it up, go find all those programs on the internet. Never give up. Say it 1,000 times, and one time it will click, but it will stay with you for the rest of your life. It's worth the effort. So don't say, oh, 1,000 times. Yes, 1,000 times. 100 times each day. That's 10 days. So imagine if you do this for 100 days. Isn't it worth it? 100 days, 3 years? Or you'll stay the rest of your life doing it wrong. No, it was worth the effort. Bi'idhnillah ta'ala. It's a gift, keeps giving. So imagine now, if we divide from above the chest, where your throat starts, all the way to your nose here, if we make this, or think about this as the area where all the Arabic alphabet, or any alphabet in the world, comes from. Nobody pronounces letters from here or from their ear or anything like that. So it comes from the nose all the way to close to the chest. So this is the area of where all the letters come from. And we will start from the bottom going upwards. Now, I want you to take my advice, and I want you to have, like, as if imaginary picture in your head, as if you have eyes inside of your mouth looking at what I'm going to be saying. This is the only way to visualize. You look at the pictures on the Facebook page, print them or look to them on YouTube, or look to them or print them and put them on your wall, whatever convenient for you. But I want you to, as if you have eyes. So if I say the end of the tongue, as if you are looking at your end of your tongue, this will help you pinpoint where the letter is. All right? So now I want you to imagine that we have those sections here. We'll have 5 sections. 5. Two of them, one is the lowest or the deepest, part, and one is the highest. Those are approximate sections. We will call them approximate sections. Then we have 3 exact sections. So how many sections total? 5. Out of the 5, we have two approximate, means it's not like a pinpointed place. It is approximate. It's somewhere there. And then we have 3. Those are in the middle. So the highest, which is the nose, the lowest here, which is between the throat and the chest. The throat and the chest part, we will call it the oral cavity. Oral cavity. And the one in the nose, we'll call it the nasal cavity. Nasal cavity is behind there, and the oral cavity is behind there. This is the throat, the chest, somewhere there. It's approximate. All right? So 5 sections. One is the oral cavity, and one is the nasal cavity. From them, no letters come, but sounds. Sounds. So from the nose comes a ghunna sound. A ghunna sound is the ringing noise or ringing sound that comes in the nose when you're pronouncing the noon and the meme. Say an, Now try to hold your nose and say that. An is not gonna come. Or meme, it's not gonna come if you hold your nose. That's why if somebody has cold, they will not be pronouncing the noon and the meme properly. So it's a sound that helps the pronunciation of 2 letters. So that's called the ghunna, comes from that section. So that's one section. It's called the nasal cavity, and from it comes the noon and meme, ghunna. Not the noon and the meme itself. Meme comes from the lips, the noon comes from the tip of the tongue. I will study later. But the ghunna that accompanies them, without which the 2 letters are not complete, that is that section of the nasal cavity. Now, lowest part, which is the oral cavity, the approximate one, is not the throat, it's not the chest, it is in between somewhere there, comes the long sound of fatha, we call it alif mad, the long sound of kasra, we'll call it ya mad, and the long sound of dhamma, we call it waw mad. To understand that, if you have any letter with a fatha, let's take the lam, we'll say la, kasra, li, dhamma, lu, That's called short vowel. Now if I extend the fatha, I say la, li, lu. That extension I cannot pronounce by itself. La is the short vowel. La, I cannot separate that extra part. I hope you get it. So la, la. Now if I say now I put alif, so I'm pronouncing alif, but you cannot pronounce that extension without a letter. So that's called a mad. La, no mad. La, that's called mad. That mad part, which is an alif, but mad part, it's not a hamza, it's an alif mad. That li, that second part, e part, lu, that oo sound, this is called alif mad, waw mad, and ya mad. We'll call them for recognition. So though they come from the oral cavity. They come from where? From the oral cavity. So now we have 2 sections out of the 5 identified, and we got them out of the way. So we can focus now. So we have 5 sections. 1 the highest, which is the nasal cavity, and 1 the lowest, which is the oral cavity. From the nasal cavity, a sound of ghunna that accompanies noon and mim. And from the oral cavity, the sound of fatha, long fatha, alif, long kasra, ya, and long dhamma, waw, that it is mad. It cannot be pronounced independently. It has to be following a fatha, kasra, or a dhamma. That comes from the oral cavity. Out of the way, alhamdulillah. So I have 3 other sections. Those 3 other sections is the section of the throat, the section of the tongue, and the section of the lips. 3 sections. The section of the throat, section of the tongue, from the end of the tongue until the tip of the tongue, including the sides, the middle, this and that, and then the lips. Lips with the teeth, lips together, lips open, lips rounded, that's beside the point. We'll take that. We'll get into details. The throat will divide it, the tongue will divide it, and the lips will divide it. But I want you to understand that all the Makhārij are in those 3 sections. The throat, the tongue, and the lips. Throat, tongue, lips, throat, tongue, lips. Remember it. Throat, tongue, lips, throat, tongue, lips. And under the throat or behind the throat somewhere is the oral cavity. That's the mad, 3 letters of mad. And in the nose here is the ghunna of noon and mim. Another point I wanted to mention, practice makes perfect. So you can memorize as much as you want. You can be familiar with the picture as much as you want. You can do all the exercises, writing as much as you want. Unless you practice it, you say it yourself, you will never learn it. So you say it and say it literally, thousands of times. Thousands, not 100, thousands of times. And that's the beauty of the Quran. And that's, subhanallah, why you have every letter you pronounce, you have 10 rewards and it will be multiplied. Because of that, Allah Azza wa Jalla, Rasulullah encouraging us to keep reciting the Quran so we perfect it. I still work on my Makhārij. Yeah, we still work on my Makhārij. Sometimes when you're reading fast, sometimes when you're tired, sometimes you just woke up, sometimes you're thinking about something, a letter or a word or a way you're saying something that will be off. You have to work on that. Everybody practices and they have to perfect their style. So this is the point I want to mention, practice makes perfect. So today we covered that there are 5 sections from where all the letters come, between the nose and the chest. Lowest, there is oral cavity, which is approximate where the chest and the throat, end of the throat. And from that comes the 3 mad letters, the a, e, u sounds. It cannot be pronounced independently, you have to be following fatha, kasra, dhamma. And the nose, which has the ghunna that accompanies noon and mim, that ringing sound in the nose, nasal sound for noon and mim. Now 3 sections remaining, the throat, the tongue, and the lips. Next time, inshallah, we will talk about the throat and the letters of the throat. So please, inshallah, pay attention and play this over and over and over. Try to cross-reference with your own, record your own video saying it, and listen to this one and listen to this one so you can understand. If you have a local sheikh, let them recite inshallah to you, and then you recite to them. And be patient, because it does not come suddenly. It will take long time, but it will stay with you for the rest of your life. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.